Well, welcome everybody. We're glad to have you with us this afternoon. This is the 18th of January of 2023. It's 3 p.m. Utah time, Mountain Standard Time now, and I'm Don Snow. I'm in Provo, Utah, and our host is Gerhard Roof. He's president of our Utah Valley Technology and Genealogy Group, UVTAG group. He's hosting the meeting today, so he's the one that's doing all the technical stuff. Our topic today is Glary Utilities Free. That's the name of the program. Glary Utilities is a commercial program, but they've got a free version, and that's the one we're talking about today. Now, what this free version does is the following sorts of things. It will help you with updating programs and a whole lot of other things. Now, one of the things you need when you're trying to update some programs is you need to know which version of Windows you're using. And the versions of Windows are either 32-bit or 64-bit. BellArc Advisor, another free program, free for private use. If you're using it for a business or for school or government or something, then you got to pay for it. But it's free for private use, as is Glary Utilities free. That will tell you what version of Windows you have, and the 32-bit versus 64-bit. The 32-bit versus 64-bit has to do with how long words can be in there, and hence letters. You can run a 32-bit program in a 64-bit machine, but not the other way around. And sometimes you need to know which version you're running so that you can, when you upload. The Glary Utility, so that's BellArc Advisor. We'll talk about that here in a second. I'll show you what that is. That's the first part. Then Glary Utilities Free will fix your computer errors, and computers get all kinds of errors as you're running programs on them. Things will look wrong, or they'll get stored in the wrong place or something like that. And this will fix all that sort of thing. There used to be an old program in the DOS versions of when we used the old DOS disk operating system that was called Check Disk. This is equivalent to that, only it works now for Windows 10, 11, or whatever version of Windows you're using. It will also defragment the hard drive. Now, we'll talk in a few minutes about what defragment means. That has to do with the speed that your hard drive can run off whatever the programs are. And I'll describe more about that here in a couple of minutes, but this will defragment that and make your computer run faster. It also will update your programs. It will look through all the programs that are installed on your computer, and it'll say there are updated versions for this computer, this program, and this program, and it'll even tell you where to go to update to download the updated programs. And we'll demonstrate that. I use this program usually 2 or 3 times a week. And nearly every time I run it, there's another update of some program that I've got installed, whatever the program happens to be. This will tell me that there's an update, and I can click on it and update it, and we'll demonstrate that here today. Then it also has a startup editor, so your computer will start faster. The programs, when you download and when you put a new program, install a new program on your computer, they frequently want to say, okay, we're going to load this every time you turn your computer on. And the more of those you get going, you don't even need a lot of them, but they set them so that they turn on automatically. And there's a way to turn those off so that they don't start up automatically. That's built into Glary Utilities. We probably won't have much time to talk about all that because there's so much in here, and there's lots of other features. Now, all the notes for this, with all the details, and essentially everything we'll say today, are all in that website. I'm hearing an echo. Somebody's okay, good. The class notes page, that's my class notes page. It's UVTAGG, and that's Utah Valley Technology and Genealogy Group .org. We meet on regular second Saturdays of the month for the meetings. We had a great meeting just last Saturday, and Gerhard's president of that, and I'm one of the vice presidents. That's where my class notes are stored. There's the link to it on there. That has the notes, and it has the links, and it also has the links to where you can find all these videos of the classes that we're doing. Like this class is being recorded now and will be on there probably by later today. Gerhard will have it posted both on Facebook as well as on Zoom. These are the demos that we're going to be looking at today. I want to show you this BellArc Advisor free, that program, show you what it does, and it will help you find the Windows version and all the licenses, all the numbers of all the programs, whether it's your Windows license number or your, if you're using Word, Microsoft Word, it'll pick up that number. All the numbers will be stored in this, as well as everything on your computer, all the hardware and all the software. And it's a really helpful program to run periodically and save a copy of, so that you've got a list of everything that's in your computer. And it'll give you the serial numbers for the hard drives and the types of hard drives. And we'll look at that in a minute here. Then Glary Utilities Free will show about fixing computer errors, and I'll actually run it. I'll show you how long it takes to run. It only takes about a minute to run through on my computer, and I've got 3 big hard drives on my computer. There's, I think, 5 terabytes of stuff on mine. 1 terabyte hard drive and 2 terabyte hard drives in this computer. It'll show you about defragging, and let me describe what defragging is here in a minute, because that will be done in the background here, and it'll be done, but you won't see what it's done. What defragging is when you run a computer program, the computer, as it stores on the hard drive, it stores the pieces of whether it's the program or the data that goes with that program in blank spots where it can find where there's nothing else stored. And as it goes, it stores it in smaller and smaller chunks wherever it can find the blank spaces. And then it says at the end of the one blank space, it says this continues in another space, sector such and such, and so on. And then this continues in another sector, and so on. And it has to go from sector to sector to find all the pieces that go with that particular set of data or that particular program in order to load it or to run it. That's called fragmenting. That as it runs, it fragments. And so it stores the pieces in various places. Defragmenting means that it takes all of those separate pieces, stores them together in a separate place until it clears off a bunch of space, and then it starts storing those so that they're all together. So it doesn't need to say, go to the next place for this and the next place. It goes all in one line, and it speeds up your hard drive sometimes really dramatically in the length of time it takes to run a program or to pull in the data. So defragmenting puts all the pieces together, and this program does that for you in cleaning up your information. It does a whole bunch of other things, like looking for problems, or where there's a link that doesn't work to a different program someplace on your hard drive, on your desktop or your computer. It'll say that this doesn't go anywhere, and it'll drop it out for you. And you can set it various ways to do it. It has an update program that as you run, and I run this usually a couple of times a week to see which of my programs that are installed have new updates. And they update programs. Some of them, they update weekly. Most are every month or something like that. And so this tells you that there's a new version. They store the version number. It goes through and checks the version, and then it goes back. It sends it out to its website, checks to see if that's the latest version. And if it is, then you don't see anything. But if it isn't, then it tells you there's an update to this. Do you want to download and install this update? And if you say yes, it'll say, okay, here's the update. Click here, and it'll download it, and so on. We'll demonstrate that with a couple of updates on my computer today. It does this startup editor. Probably won't have time to do much with that, but that slows your computer down immensely as the startup time, because the more and more things begin to start when you didn't want them to, but they set it so that when you install it, it starts automatically, even though you're never going to use that particular program. So those are the demos that we want to use. Now, let me shift gears and show you where the notes are. and go through the notes so that you can see what those are. Let's see if I do a tab, I should be able to get to where are my notes stored. I think these are the notes. Yeah, there's the notes. Let me widen this thing out so that you can see it. That link that you had, that you saw earlier. Let's see, I don't want to widen out too much because it'll makes it too hard to see. In fact, let me see if I can roll the mouse wheel and make this a little bit larger. There they are. Now, the link that you saw earlier that we had where the notes are stored is my notes page. Well, let me go back one step and show you what that looks like before we go on. I'll click this back arrow, and this is Dawn's class notes page. Now, you're probably used to seeing it black on white, but because of my macular degeneration, for me, it's a lot easier to read if I use light color on dark background. And so this is what it looks like with white on black, or yellow in the case of these links. There's a bunch of list of pages here of various things that we have going. And then down here, there's the links as to how you watch all these things on Zoom or Facebook, and how you get to watch all the programs itself. Here's the classes coming up. And this is today's class. There's today's date. This is the 18th of January, third Wednesday. Incidentally, I've chosen the third Wednesdays for the next 2 months here, for February and for March. I'm just doing one class a month now. And there's Glary Utilities free. And if you click on that, you're back to the notes, which we'll look at in a minute. The class for next month is going to be on Google searches. They've added some new things, and Google searches are always helpful to be able to find things. And then in March, I'm going to do one on what we call snow numbers in my family. It's a way of numbering your descendants that helps. So now I'm going to click on this Glary Utilities free notes so that we'll get back to where we were. Here we are. There's an abstract in here that tells you what stuff we're going to talk about today is, or if you're just reading the notes for the first time. Here's a welcome and an introduction, a couple of things about what's going on, and a couple of hints I always put in here that helps people with using the notes, etc. Then down here, item 4 is the problem for today. How do you clean up the electronic problems on your Windows computer? And by the way, if you're using a Mac computer, there's something equivalent for Macintosh, but I don't use Macs, and so I don't know what those programs are, but you can type in, do a Google search for Mac equivalent for Glary Utilities or something like that, and you'll find equivalent programs that are for the other operating system. Then here's the Windows versions and the licenses, and that's where we're using this BellArc Advisor that I'll show you in a minute. There's a link to where you can download BellArc Advisor, and I'll show you what it looks like as it runs through your computer. And then here's where the Glary Utilities free comes in. And so there's where you can get it from. You can download it, and it's free, the free version. There's a commercial version, so just be sure you're getting the free version. Otherwise, you have to pay for it. So don't type in a credit card, and then you won't have to worry about them charging you for anything. And then here's some of the things that it will do. That it will do the drive cleanup and all that sort of thing. And this is what we're going to be demonstrating here in a little bit. And then there's some conclusions here about running it and problems that arise, etc. Okay, so now let me minimize that and see if I can find where there's the minimum. Okay, and this is the demos. This is the stuff that we want to demo. I guess I didn't want to minimize that. I just wanted to get out of it and go back to, let's see, an Alt-Tab. Go back to, which one do I want here? Can't tell. I can't, this for some reason. Oh, I'm on Alt-Tab. Not an Alt-Tab. I'm other here, Alt-Tab. I should be able to get to it from right here. Okay, now if I do a Windows D, it will open up. There's my this is my desktop. Now I put the computer programs right down here that we're using. They're down here to the lower right, and there's actually 3 programs. Well, let's see, this is Glary Utilities. I'll click on that here in a minute. And then BellArc Advisor, and that's covered up over here. I think I can get to it. Well, let me show you this version. There's one up here. Let me drag this note down. Okay, now I'm going to click on this. This is the results of Bellark Advisor. Let me see if I can get that to run. There it is. Okay, now this is that's pretty small to see. I'm going to turn my magnifier back on so that you'll be able to see it too. Windows, there's the Windows key and a plus. We'll turn the magnifier on. And so here it is. And so now this is the result that I've saved. I've already ran the program. It took about 3 minutes to run on my computer. And it ran the whole, this is Bellark Advisor. You download the program and then run it. And it will go through your entire hard drive, and it will update. If you've run it before, it will update. Otherwise, it'll generate it the first time. Computer profile summary. And here's the information on it. And it will tell you everything that's in your computer, hardware and software, everything that's installed on there with the serial numbers and everything else. And so there's the information on the computer itself. Here's the information on the operating system. And you notice that it says right in there, it says x64. That means I'm running a 64-bit version of Windows 10. This is 10. This is not Windows 11, but Windows 10 that's on here. But it could be 32-bit or it could be 64-bit. And you don't usually don't have to know that, but sometimes you do. And so this is a way to find that, but it's also a way to keep track of everything that's on your whole computer. There's the information on the operating system, the exact time of it is, what version of Windows it is, the system model, the processor, what's in this, the processor that's in here, the main circuit board, the kind of a circuit board that's in here. The whole thing is in here in this whole deal. And then it starts on software. Further down here, there'll be a complete list of all the software, all the printers that are connected up, or the microphones, or any hardware that's connected to your computer, and settings on there. And then down toward the bottom, I won't go down that far because I don't want to show you my license numbers, but you'll see a thing where it starts saying the license numbers, and it'll say you're using Windows 10 version, set version 10, the license number of this, and you're using Ancestral Quest and the license number of this, and you're using whatever the other programs are that I'm using on here. All the license numbers are in there. So all those password things that you wrote down on a piece of paper intending to remember, and now you can't find where the piece of paper is, they're all in here, and they're all generated, and you can save this whole thing. And so I saved the whole list, and that's what this thing is, this Bellark Advisor. And the only reason I'm showing it to you now is occasionally you need to know whether it's 64-bit versus 32-bit. And you sometimes need to know which version of Windows. In most cases, you don't. The programs are smart enough to know. But in some cases, you need to know, are you using Windows 10 or Windows 11? And are you using a 64-bit or a 32-bit version of it, and so on. Okay, that's Bellark Advisor, and that's the information. So I've saved that, and I saved it in such a fashion that I could just click on it, and it would automatically open it up, and that's what I did. And so that's what you're seeing there with that. Okay, now I'll turn that magnifier off, because now we're back to the notes themselves. Okay, now the next thing we want to talk about, and where we want to spend most of the time today, is on the Glary utilities itself. Okay, so I'm going to go, let's see, I'll go back to Alt-Tab, and back to, let's see, which one we're going to get back to. This one will do. If I do a Windows D, it will open that. And now this icon down here, let me drag it up here where you can see it. That icon is the Glary Utilities icon. So I've downloaded the program and installed it on the computer, and it only took a few minutes to download and install, and the link is on the notes for you to install it. Now I'm going to run it. So I'm going to double click on it to run that program. It says, do you want to allow this program to make changes? on your computer? And my answer is yes, I do want that. So I click yes. Okay, now here's the program. That's what it looks like as it runs on there. Now, if I go over, notice at the top there are 3 separate items. There's one item. Here's the second tab in the middle. I can hardly see that. Well, let me turn my magnifier back on so that I can make it too big for you. Well, now you can see it. There's the left thing, the overview, and it tells you a little bit about what's on there. It tells me here in this second panel here that it took 1 minute and 6 seconds for my computer to boot this time. And that's a little slower than it normally does. Normally it takes only about 50 seconds or 40 seconds to boot, but it keeps track of that. Every time you start your computer, it will tell you how long it took to boot up. And then over on the right side here, it says the current version of the Glary Utilities program. And if you want to click on this thing right here, it will say, what's the latest version? I clicked on it and it goes through and it checks my version and it says, your computer is running the latest version of Glary Utilities, so you don't need to update it. So you just click OK. And so now we're in here with the latest version of it. Now, the second tab up here says one-click maintenance. Now, it opens up this thing, which has some check boxes down the side. There's a registry cleaner. The registry is computer jargon stuff. That's where stuff gets stored and where it knows what's installed on your computer. Here's the shortcuts fixer. If there's a shortcut that doesn't work, it's there. Disk repair. This is the defrag. Now you notice I've got it turned off. The reason I have it turned off is because I've got 3 hard drives in my system here, but one of them, the main one that runs the Windows program, is a solid state hard drive, and those don't need to be defragmented. That's a new type version of hard drives. Most of the hard drives that are in existence are the older type. They're spinning platters, and they do need defragmenting. And occasionally I run that, I put a check in there for the disk repair, which is the hard drive defrag thing, just to defrag the other hard drives. But the main one, my main hard drive, doesn't need defragging because it's a solid state. The non-solid state ones do get fragmented, and so they do slow down. And so every once in a while I run this every few months. I put the check in there and run it so that it defragments all the hard drives, and including the solid state one. The tracks eraser and temporary files fixer. It finds all these temporary things and so on. And then the startup manager. Now it's going to check that, but the startup manager itself is on a separate thing. I'll just show you now where that is. We're now talking about the second tab up here. The first tab showed us the time, showed us the latest version, and you could update your version of Glary Utilities free from that. This is the second tab, the one-click maintenance, and I'll run that here in just a second. This third tab over here is the one that's got a whole bunch of other things in here, including the startup manager and a whole bunch of other stuff in here. It does have a virus checker, but the virus checker is not the greatest, and so I don't count on this for a virus checker, but I do use it for other things. Okay, so now I'm back on the second tab here, the one-click maintenance. Now I'm going to run this one-click maintenance by clicking on this thing right here. I'll click and run it. And now what it's doing is it's going out, and there's a separate thing that will show up here. Usually, let me see if I can turn this off so that it'll, there, okay. It says Google Chrome needs to be closed. Oh, if I close Google Chrome, am I gonna, well, I think we're okay. I think I can close Google Chrome. That's where my notes are stored, but I'll just say yes, close it, and go through it. Now let me turn the magnifier off so that you can see the whole thing here. There's the program. Now you can see there's a bar going across the bottom of this thing, and it's doing different sorts of things, going through different aspects of what's happening. it's checking everything on my hard drives now and correcting them and defragmenting. Well, no, because I've turned that off. It's not defragmenting yet, but it's checking everything on all the problems in the registry and other things. And I find that if I don't run this thing periodically, there are problems. Now it finished. So it took that long, but it went through 5 terabytes of my hard drives and straightened up any errors that it found. Now, the first time you run this, it will probably take a lot longer, because it's safe to say that if you haven't run this thing for quite a while, or with something comparable to this, there's all kinds of errors on your hard drives, and they need straightening out. So this is all, got that all taken care of to clean that up. And I do this at least once or twice a week on there to see what's going on. So that's the cleanup and the defrag, and the program is worth its weight in, well, I was going to say in gold, but that's probably an overstatement. But it's really helpful just for that much alone. But it does a lot of other things as well. Okay, now down here at the bottom, you see a little thing that's got an arrow pointing up, and it's got a look like a number 7 that's in there now. That 7 is updates. It says that there are 7 programs on this computer, the last time I ran this, that needed updating. That might have changed. There might be more by now. That little thing, if I click on that, I will click on it right there, double click to run it. And it should open up another little window over here on the side, which someplace is not there. There it is. There's the window. Let me see if I can move it out of the way and get it over here to where you can see what's going on with it. I'll put it right here. Now, you may not be able to see it, but there's a bar going across there that is checking the information. What it's doing is it's going through all the programs that are installed on my computer, and it's looking to see which versions they are. And then it's sending out to its homepage that information, and it's checking to see if that's the latest version of that program. And last time I ran this, there are 7. That red 7 that you saw over there is the, there were 7 programs that needed updating. Now, when this gets done, it will finish and it will open up Chrome, and it will show me a list of all of those programs with the information. Here's Chrome coming open now. Let's see. No, I don't want to. Let me click on that. There it is. Okay. Now let me see if I can make this a little bit wider so that you can see it. It opened this Chrome with a list of all the programs that need updating on my system. And here they are. Now let's check down here. The first one is Caliber. That's a program, as it notices, a 64-bit. That's a program that I use that keeps track of information on from PDFs and EPUB files, and its catalog, a book catalog, and so on, that you can put stuff in. That needs updating. We'll update that here in just a second. Ice Cream Book Reader. That's another reader that needs updating. It tells you the version that's installed on your computer and the version that's available. PaintNet. That's just a design program that you can use that I've got an older version on here. Skype is an older version. Some of these I don't use very often, so I don't bother to update them. This one is VSDC. That's a free video editor. And again, it's 64-bit, and I don't use it very often, so I don't bother to update some of these. Then there's ViewScan. That's a scanner program that goes with my printer. And then here's XNView, and that's a 64-bit. Let's illustrate this by going up here to the top one and clicking on Caliber and showing you what happens when you download it. How's our time going? What time? I can't see my clock. Is it 3:30 already? Oh God.
Don, it's 3:30.
Yeah, okay. We'll have to run this quick then. I'm going to click on Caliber. There's the click on Caliber. It goes out and it says, okay, now this is called File Puma. or Puma. I don't know how they pronounce it, whether it's Puma or Puma, but this is their website for Glary Soft. And they store in here all of these updated programs, free as well as commercial. These are all free, the ones that we're looking at here. Here it says Caliber 64-bit 611. And it's got some information here about the version that I've got installed and the version that they're going to download. I click on this file right here where it says download, and watch what happens. I'll click on download, and it will open up, it will go to their version, and it'll say, okay, here's the information on it. And there it is. And now it's saying, where do you want to download this file to? Now, if you look at the top, and again, I'm going to have to turn my Windows plus on so that I can see this bigger. It's going to save it, and I look up here to make sure it's saved on this PC desktop. Now, I always save this, if it's these downloads for these programs, I always save it on the C drive. And so I'll have to go down here and find the C drive. Where is the C drive? Let's see, I can find it over. Let's see, I should be able to find the C drive on. Well, let's go back up here. Oh, it's not on the desktop. It's go back to this PC, and then now go down to the C drive, and I always save all this stuff on what I call downloads on C. So now it's going to save it to the Windows, the C drive. That's my solid state drive, and downloads on C. Okay, now down at the bottom here, it will have the name. This is the name that it's given it, Caliber, the version, and so on there. And I'll say, okay, save it. Click save. Okay, now if I look down at the bottom of this, and this is large, but you'll see down at the bottom where it's going through and saving. Why are we not seeing it? It's right down at the lower left-hand corner. There it is. Caliber version 64-bit, that's the version. And it'll have a little circle that will go around this icon over here on the left as it downloads. In this case, I'm using a fast download thing so that it only took a second. It's now download. Well, it's not. Oh, it said failed.
Said it's failed network error.
Yeah, so I got to go back up here and try it again. So let's go back up to, let's see, that's in here. And let's go back to, try that again and see if I can get it to download. Here's Caliber. And if I can't, I won't get, I'll use something else here so that it doesn't take up any more time to go through. Now let's see, there's the thing. It should be coming up and saying, where do you want to save this? And there's Caliber. Okay, and now this is now expanded. And that's why it's looking so much bigger now. And then I click download now, and it should be there. It started the download, and then I'll go through that same rigmarole that we had here a minute ago. It should come back and say that it's going to be downloading to a certain place. Here it is. And it should now be saved to the same place that it was. Yeah, okay, saved to the Windows C drive and documents on C or downloads on C. And it'll have the same name, so it'll probably say, do you want to replace it? So I'll say click save. And now there should be a replace sign that comes in here somewhere, or maybe it didn't ever finish downloading the whole thing. Let's go down to the bottom and see what it's looking like down here. Yeah, now it's downloaded. Now it's all downloaded, and down at the lower left-hand corner, it's on there. So this is the download. So now I click on that to install it. I double-clicked to install that, and it should have opened up. Yeah, here it is. Here, let me minimize or turn off that magnifier again now. Okay, there's the Glary utilities thing, and shucks, I just sorry, I'm gonna have to turn that back on to be able to read that. Turn that on as a plus, and you got to accept the things. Yeah, I accept the stuff. Put a check right there. So I accept the things, and then install. Okay, and now it's gone through and it's doing the installation for the updating of that program. And it'll only take a second, and it will have updated that caliber program so that it'll run with the latest version on there. It's correcting the new, let's see, it's copying the new files, and it'll be another half a minute here, and it'll be done with it. And then I won't take time to run it, but and I won't rerun the update again. But if I ran the update the next time, then it would say this one doesn't need updating. It would not show up in the list. So it's publishing the information, getting it all organized, and so on. And it will be all done here in just a second. Removing backup files. Recovering, there it is. Okay, well, let's see, it's not quite done yet. Okay, there it is. And now it wants to know, do you want to launch it? And I'll say, no, I don't want to launch it. And so now I click finish to finish it. And that program is updated on my computer now. Now, let me just close this, get rid of some of this stuff. And well, I'll just go back to our, let's see, an Alt tab, and get back to, come on, Alt tab, and go back to our PowerPoint. Where's our PowerPoint on here? There it is. Oh, I didn't click on it. There, okay. All right, there, now we're back. Now I'll turn off this magnifier thing because it's annoying when you don't need it. Okay, so now we've looked at all these. Well, we haven't looked at all of them, but we've seen the demos. We've run the defrag, and we've run the fixed computer errors thing, and the updated programs, etc. So here's a summary as to what we did. We looked at BellArc Advisor first. That was a free program for private use, and that helped us find the version of Windows that we were using, the 64-bit versus 32-bit, and whether it was Windows 10 or 11 and so on. Usually you don't need to know that, but sometimes you do. We ran the Glary utilities, free version, to fix the computer errors, to do the defragmenting of the hard drives. And we did all that today. And then we did update the installed programs, and we showed how to update one program on there. We didn't do the edit the startup file at all, but that's another story that that you could do. Now, our time is up, but do you have any questions or comments that you'd like to ask? And if so, just unmute your mic, or if you're on Zoom or on Facebook, type it in and Gerhard will read it off.
I have a quick question.
Okay.
Is there any advantage of the upgrade? It doesn't seem like it costs a whole lot. Or does the free version do everything that needs to be done?
The free version does everything I need to do. As I've looked at several times, I've wondered, should I bother with paying? And I've never, as I've seen it, it does have a few extra features. It will automatically update itself, so you don't have to update it yourself. But I've never felt that there was any reason for my buying it. And so I've used it probably for 10 or 15 years, and just used the free version all that time.
It talked about comparing files and to eliminate duplicate files.
Yeah.
Could something like that be used for photos?
Yes, it does have in that that third option across the top over on the right, there is a find duplicate files thing. It does not work very well, but it works. But for photographs, there are better programs, but it does work. And but I don't use it for that because there are other programs that work better for it.
What's another program for sorting out photos you could recommend?
Look on my note. There's a set of notes because I did a whole class on that. Within the last couple of years.
Okay, I'll check.
Yeah, just check the note. It's called I think it's duplicate photo finder or something like that. And
Okay.
it will actually look for photos that look similar and show them side by side and what percent it thinks they're the same.
Okay.
And you can, and then you can save one or the other or both if you want to, and otherwise delete the one, and then it'll bring up another one that shows you the information.
Okay.
Yeah, that's another whole story, and that's an important story. Any other questions?
I don't have anything from Facebook.
Okay. And if any of you are on Facebook or from Zoom, where you're from, it'd be kind of interesting for us to know what audience we're reaching these days. The other day we had one from Saturday's class. We had somebody from Canada and somebody else from Wales, and a bunch from Utah and a bunch from, where else were they, Gerhard? They were from
all over the United States, East Coast, West Coast.
Last time I tuned in, we were from Idaho, but we are down in St. George now.
Oh, you're back in St. George, Wilden. Yeah. Okay, good.
At least for a couple of your classes, then we'll be back to Idaho. Thank you very much.
Well, anyway, I appreciate all of you watching and hope that you got at least an idea, a couple of things that maybe ideas that you could use from in here. And there's my email address on there if you need it, and it's on all the notes, and the notes are on there. And we'll do another class the third Wednesday of February. That'll be on Google searches. And I haven't got the notes done on that. I got an old version of Google Notes, but I need to update that because they keep adding new things. So thank you very much for being with us. We're glad to have you with us today.